Welcome back. As always, if you have anything to add to this conversation, leave it down in the comments, because that is truly why I make these videos, is to have conversation with you guys. So please, I want to see that conversation continued down in the comments. If you agree, disagree, whatever, leave it down in the comments. Let's continue the conversation. Or if you have any comments about the channel in general, I am always looking for improvement, and I take those comments, I take it to heart. So I do want to know what you guys want me to do differently, what you like about the videos, whatever, just let me know. Leave it down in the comments. Finally, be sure to check out my other channel, YC Games. It's the one with the orange logo. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. So, just so we're clear what I mean by experimental game mechanics, I mean the things they added to Borderlands 3 that weren't in Borderlands 2, or like maybe redefined in, well, not Borderlands 2, previous Borderlands games. So like the things they changed drastically enough that's kind of like a new mechanic. I'm calling it experimental because this is like would be the first time they did it. And yeah, it's just kind of my term for it. I'm sure there's like an actual legit term for it, but this is what I'm calling it. So that's what I'm referring to in this video. So if you guys have any that I didn't mention, if you guys notice anything in the trailer, or if you have any cool ideas you think they should add, let me know down in the comments. I'll probably include it in a future video. So yeah, let's just get right into this now. Now, probably one of the most apparent things they've changed is how you move around in Borderlands 3. I'm talking primarily like the sliding and mantling. Now, I believe it was referenced that they said that they took a lot of inspiration from Titanfall 2's movement, and that's definitely apparent. However, it's definitely slowed down to an insane degree. Now, I love Titanfall 2. It's still one of the games whenever I just want some casual, fun multiplayer, or like a PvP multiplayer. That's what I typically go to. So I really enjoy it, and the fact that they take inspiration from it excites me because the movement is definitely one of the best parts of that game. Because just running around crazy, sliding, jumping, wall running. Obviously it's not wall running in Borderlands 3, but the fact that they kind of use that as a base, or at least as inspiration, it excites me because I am really... I just love the movement in that game, and I'm glad they're implementing it in Borderlands 3, or at least to a degree. Obviously the sliding is not as drastic as something in Titanfall 2, because you can just slide, it feels like forever, and definitely not as drastic as like Apex Legends, which is just ridiculously far, especially downhill. I almost would want to see them implement that, at least like downstairs and downhills and stuff, because I have seen like in gameplay, I have seen like some of the gameplay streams, people try to slide downstairs and they don't get anywhere, and it's like, oh, it's a little disappointing to see, and I can definitely see how it would feel disappointing, because just that immediate satisfaction of just boom sliding down at supersonic speeds. It's obviously not that fast, but that's just something that's really fun for me in like Apex Legends and Titanfall 2. So I'm glad that they are using sliding, but I kind of wish they would do it more. Like it was a little bit more drawn out and farther and faster. I don't know, maybe it's like balanced to the point where that just, because honestly Borderlands is a chaotic game, but I wouldn't really call it necessarily fast paced, so it's probably better that it's slowed down a little bit and it's not as dramatic, because it might speed things up too much. It might get way too chaotic. I don't know, obviously I'll have to get my hands on the game itself to actually see how well it works. But yeah, I'm definitely glad they included sliding, and I'm excited to see how it could affect gameplay. Now, the other thing they added, as far as movement, would be mantling. And this is one of those things that is kind of a no-duh for Borderlands, because it was never really vertical. But every time I saw a vertical space, I tend to try to climb up there just to get the high ground. Even if I didn't stay up there for long, just jump on it, just to jump off and, slam dunk someone with a shotgun. I really enjoy that aspect of Borderlands, just the chaotic running around, jumping on things. So the fact that we can mantle now, get a way higher advantage, and that definitely is going to bring a lot more verticality to the game, which I am really excited for. Because they kind of did that a little bit in the pre-sequel with the jump pack, or the Oz kits. Sorry, I don't know what jump packs. What the hell am I talking about? With the Oz kits. But they never really had a lot of like higher up platforms to get to. Like the level design didn't really match their intention. It definitely was intended to be more vertical, but a lot of the level design was still linear. Yeah, there were some sections with a lot of different levels and stuff, but it never really it never felt right. Like the mechanics and the design and the level design were never really matched up right. So at the bit of gameplay we did see for Borderlands 3, I think they're definitely focused a little more on verticality, at least to a certain degree, like at least a couple more levels, not necessarily just one linear platform you're running across. So yeah, the mantling, it definitely makes me excited, because I do look forward to, like, you know, jumping on towers, jumping on a little cover here, and it's one of, again, those things are just kind of no duh addition, but it's a good thing they added it. One last interesting thing about movement, I'm including a movement even though it's kind of not, I don't know, is jumping on vehicles. I don't think I've actually seen it in any of the streams I watched, but in the trailers you can definitely see Vault Hunters jumping on enemy vehicles and vice versa, enemies jumping on your vehicle. And I've said it time and time again, vehicles are like my least favorite part about these games. It's just a way to get from A to B, kill a few things on the way. I try to avoid the sections as much as possible because they're not entertaining to me. But jumping on them and, you know, jumping between them, or however they're going to do it, it'll at least make it more interesting. So I'm excited to see where it goes. And the new vehicle designs look fun enough that I am looking forward to trying them out. But this is still definitely one of the weaker parts of the game that you know, yeah, it's included. Yeah, it's there, but I'm not holding my breath for it to being super spectacular. Now, an interesting change, to say the least. I mentioned it quite a bit in my gameplay reveal discussion video, but that'd be all the co-op changes. And by co-op changes, I mean like the loot instancing, the level scaling for loot and enemies, and stuff like that, how they're handling co-op. Now, I'm still kind of torn on how I feel about it. Loot instancing, I gotta say, I'm against it. Like, yeah, I know it sounds great. The whole, like, how if you open a chest and you pick up a gun, your buddy can still go and pick up the same gun, or at least some version of it. And that sounds good, especially if you're playing with randoms online that are just, you know, dickhead loot ninjas. I get that. Or you're playing with one friend that's just a total ass, and you just, you know, he always steals the stuff, doesn't even care. Then I get it. I'm glad. I am glad they added it, because it is a good feature, but I just don't think I'll be having it turned on when I'm playing with friends, because yeah, we're asses, yeah, we take the good stuff, but I mean, I don't know, it's part of the game, you know. That's just what Borderlands is. That's the feel I get from it. That's how it is. That's how it should be, and I understand why they added it, but I am so grateful that you can turn it off. Like, if this is a permanent thing and like that's just how it was, I would be mad. Like, it's because it's ridiculous. Because like I said, that's just what Borderlands feels like it should be. So I'm glad that I can still turn that off. Now, on the flip side, the level scaling and the for loot and enemies, that I'm a huge fan of, because one of my biggest problems with Borderlands right now is that I have to have so many different accounts for all my playthroughs with different friends. Like, I have one for one friend, one for another friend, one for those two are playing together, one for a third friend, one where all four of us are playing together. And it's really annoying because all those accounts, or all those characters, are so far apart in level that you can't even switch over. And the one time I was playing with my one friend, and I'm like, man, I really want to play this other character. But it was kind of close, so I switched characters. But then I played with a different friend, that character was 4, and now all the levels are screwed up. And I know that's kind of my own fault for switching characters midway through a playthrough, but this implementation of how you can play with players with buddies that are like, you know, 20 levels ahead of you, and it still somewhat works out, I'm a huge fan of, because the other option is either you're completely underleveled and you're just getting completely steamrolled by everyone and it's just no fun for you, or you're completely overleveled and your buddy's not doing anything, it's just you breezing through a level. You know, so it was an issue in the past. I'm glad they fixed this, and I'm very glad they did this. And it's also good that the loot will change levels with you, so that even if you are playing with someone that's like 10 levels behind you, there's still a chance you can get some pretty decent loot out of it. So that I'm definitely glad they changed. Again, maybe it sounds like a little bit hypocrite, because, well, that's what Borderlands should be. But this change I'm much more okay with than the loot instancing. Now, my problem is, they said you can turn it back to like the classic mode, is it like an all or nothing deal, or can I switch between like what I want? Like, can I turn off loot instancing but keep on the level scaling? I don't think they've actually come and said that. That's my biggest fear, is that if I'm playing with a buddy, I'm gonna have to do the same thing if I want to keep loot instancing off, or I'm gonna have to turn it on, and I'm just not a fan of that. I don't know. I guess we'll find out when the game launches, but I do hope they are like different switches, if you will, or settings, whatever you want to call it. Because yeah, huge fan of loot scaling or level scaling. Not the biggest fan of the loot instancing. Final thing, as far as co-op changes, I don't know really to consider as a co-op change, but the fact that NPCs can revive you, I'm calling it a co-op change, even though I don't know if I should or not. So that's pretty neat. Now, my biggest question with this is if it would be like just based on story times, like if at like one mission in the story that you're paired up with another character, that then they can revive you, or if this might be implementing some kind of companion system. Because I don't know how I feel about that. Now, I do like companions in some games, and I do feel like it would fit well in Borderlands, so I'm not against it. I'm just cautious about it, because Borderlands it's a co-op game. You know, you're meant to play with friends, but it is fun to play solo, and I have been playing solo pretty much. That's all I play now, because you know, schedules line up and whatnot with my buddies. But adding a companion would it'd feel weird, because it's supposed to be a co-op game. You're supposed to play with friends, or even with random people, you know. So the fact that they're adding like an NPC companion, I don't know if I'm all for that. Now for story missions, I'm all for it, because how cool was that? How badass was that scene when you're fighting side by side with Lilith? Oh, I love that in that gameplay trailer that Gearbox showed off. That was awesome to me. Like, I want moments like that in the story. However, I don't know if I want moments like that throughout the whole game. Now, I doubt Lilith would be one of them, because she's kind of an important role in as far as the Crimson Raiders go. Like, she's the leader, I believe now, they said. So I doubt she would be a companion if they had companions, but I can definitely see them using some of the minor characters, or even like just kind of random Crimson Lance members as like companion, like as a party members. I don't know. I feel like it could implement well in Borderlands, and it would be an interesting system to explore, but again, that's one of those things that it doesn't feel like Borderlands. It would feel weird. It's supposed to be a co-op game. You're not supposed to have co-op partners that, you know, aren't friends or aren't other people, at least. So, I don't know. I'm definitely looking forward to those kind of story moments, because that's awesome to me. But I'm cautiously looking towards like actual companions. So, we'll see. Now, by environment, I'm talking more about the destructible environment, how the breakable cover, breakable environment, the movable barrels, the interactable stuff like that. I calling experimental game mechanics, because you know it's experimental for Borderlands, I guess. But these kind of things are no-brainers. Breakable cover, it's existed in games for a while now. Not really in a lot of games, which is kind of surprising, because it seems like it should be. But I am glad they're adding in Borderlands, because honestly, most of the cover, especially like these bandit towns, they're like junk anyway, so the fact they stop a bullet at all is surprising. So I do like the whole, like, how it breaks off chunks and whatnot. That's a neat thing they did. Also, the breakable environment, I don't think they actually showed off in any of the gameplay, but in the trailer they released with the gameplay, like, you know, they had a little, I don't know, they had another trailer that day. You could definitely see a boss breaking a pillar. Like, that was obvious. So I don't know if it's gonna be like just story elements, but you know, I guess you could call it just breakable cover as well. But that was something cool, you know. I love seeing that kind of stuff, because in the real world stuff breaks. So in video games, when you're blowing stuff up and shooting things should break. So one of those no-brainer things I just really like. Movable barrels, again, kind of feels like a no-brainer. Just be able to kick it, you know, feel like a badass and explode it halfway across the room. Awesome. I love that. idea I had back in that gameplay reveal discussion video I had. Wow, that's kind of a mouthful. I don't know how I got away with using that title. Um, I said like it'd be kind of cool if you had like, let's say like an incendiary barrel. So ideally it's probably full of like oil or gas or something, you know. So you shoot it and it starts leaking, and then you kick it and it like leaves a trail of gas, and then you ignite it and then it's like a fire trail, you know, and then the barrel explodes. That's one of those things, kind of a neat idea. Just kind of give it more depth to it, because I mean, obviously, I'm glad you can kick it or hit it, however they showed it off, and then explode it across the room at an enemy. You know, kind of treat it like a grenade. I like that. I don't know. I just feel like a fire trail would kind of make it feel. I don't want to say more realistic because it's Borderlands. Nothing's really realistic, but I don't know. It's one of those things I thought would be pretty neat. Also, the interactable environment, I'm a huge fan of. Like, I want to say it was like on the side of a van. He shot a tank and like some radiation came out. There's like an oil drum hanging up. He shot and it started like leaking oil. You know, stuff like that. Again, seems like no-brainers, but I am glad they implement it. I want to see the enemies interact with stuff like this. Even if they're kicking barrels and stuff and shooting random things in the ceiling to drop down elemental stuff. I want to see enemies do that too, because I really enjoy that. I mentioned in a couple previous videos, but like when bullymongs like will break those tusks or teeth, whatever the hell they are, stick on the ground and throw them at you, or the ice shards, that's what they are. When they break those ice shards off and like throw them at you in Borderlands 2, I love moments like that when enemies interact with the environment. So I want to see more of that kind of stuff. One more neat thing, I guess I consider it an environment thing. It just kind of really doesn't fit anywhere else, and this is the last point anyway, so I'm just going to include it here, is that collector thing on Sanctuary 3. Now, there's quite a bit of things on Sanctuary 3 that I could talk about that I think are pretty neat, but the collector, I like. I haven't really had too many instances of it, but I have seen it before where like there is like loot out of bounds where you can't quite get to, or loot you maybe not have seen. You know, it'll collect it for you. Now, I'm so confused as to what they actually classify as worthy. Like, do they just pick up after boss fights, or just after like, you know, certain areas, or how does that work? Because I leave common guns on the common guns on the ground all the time. I don't know what that speech thing was, but so I don't know. Like, do they just collect everything? You have to sort through all of it later, or do they have some kind of filter where they only do certain rarities? 'Cause I'm pretty sure, like in the gameplay showed off, they had some commons. So, what's the cutoff? Like when they run out, they just start like kicking out commons once it gets too full. I don't know, but I mean, it's a good addition. I'm glad they added it. You know, once in a while I'll see, hey, I didn't realize I left a purple back there. I never noticed it. Stuff like that. I don't know what they're actually going to classify. Maybe if to go up and like select it, like, hey, I want to see this in the collector later. I don't know. That's a neat idea. Also, this is a kind of a subtle one that when I was watching the gameplay, I'm like, this is stupid. Why would you want that? But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm actually kind of glad they added this. And that's the displaying guns on Sanctuary 3. Because not only would it make it feel like more personal, like, hey, this is my hub. This is, you know, what I've been out there in the worlds, you know, doing stuff and making this place better. But like when you invite like a co-op buddy to come over, and you can like show off like, hey, I got this legendary gun. Check it out. It's awesome. It's just stuff like that I think is neat, because like in Borderlands 2, every time I get a legendary gun, I'll just throw it in the bank. And yeah, it's kind of cool to be like, hey, I got this gun. You know, show off to my friends later whenever we're in a co-op game. But the fact that it's actually on display in Sanctuary 3 makes it a lot easier. It makes it look a lot nicer. So it's one of those things where I was watching it the first time, I'm like, that's dumb. Why would anyone want that? But looking back, it's a nice addition, and I'm glad they added it. That about does it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm still kind of recovering from I don't know, a cold or just kind of being sick in general. I don't know. I probably should mention at the beginning of the video because it doesn't sound good. But yeah. So I apologize. I thought I was good. I woke up this morning feeling great, and then I started recording, and now I'm just kind of slowly getting back to being sick. so I'm gonna leave this one here. If you guys have anything to add to the conversation, anything at all, any other game mechanics you noticed that I missed in the gameplay or trailers or whatever, anything you thought would be a good idea and they should add, any like counterpoints, like, you know, maybe you're a huge fan of loot instancing, you're glad. I understand why you would be, but let me know stuff like that. You know, what did I get wrong in your eyes? What did I get right? I just want to continue the conversation down in the comments. I do appreciate when you guys do, because it really does make me feel good to see, like, hey, these people want to have conversation. Let's have a conversation. So, yeah, I guess I'm gonna leave this here. Next part will be part 6, talking about the story. I don't know, because it's supposed to be the new information is what the original part 10 series was, but there's no new information. That makes no sense to have that as a category. So if you guys think of a better category, let me know down in the comments. I do have to come up with another category eventually. So I'm just going to skip it for now, move on to what was part 7, which is story. So part 6 will be what I think this story will be. Yeah, that about does it. Thank you all for watching. Check out my other channel, YC Games. Keep your stick on the ice. We're almost together. See you in the next one. Bye.